care what anybody says. The Dallas Cowboys couldn't sacrifice enough chickens to do what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing. Not only are we buyers, but we're sellers. We're going to go to Washington. We're going to get that bald and redhead quarterback, Woogie. We're going to destroy him. Then we're going to go to the New York Giants, and we're going to embarrass lefty Daniel Jones. And then on Christmas Eve, we will ruin the Cowboys season. The Philadelphia Eagles. It's a beautiful life. Dallas still stinks. Go by the way, King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. It feels great to be an Eagles fan right now. It feels great because we're in on everything. We have everything going our way. We're in on this move. We're in on that move. This move may happen, but it will affect the Eagles this way. We're calculating the calculations of the cornbread, and we're mixing it against the gravitational pull, but there is no pull. It's actually electromagnetism. We're in all that shit. We're in on it, and I love it. I love it. And I got to tell you, I'm a little fired up today, and now we're seeing reports that Roquan Smith may be traded, that Dillard is drawing interest from the Jets, that the Broncos are in on Reagor. We're going to get into it in a second. But before we do that, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss anything. We will be streaming the Eagles this Friday. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you've been subscribed for a while, just double check. Double moonwalk check. Make sure you're still subscribed. Now, I was having a nice, calm day. I was enjoying myself. I was doing my work, minding my own business. Then all of a sudden, my phone starts going off. It's text, 127 text, 128 text, 128 text, 120, and it's Mark Holmes. And he must have been having like a meltdown or something because he was at Washington camp. He was watching Woogie throw the ball. And, Woogie. You know Woogie, right? You remember something about Mary? You remember when Woogie in Something About Mary, he gets nervous, he starts getting all them big welts? Look at Carson Wentz. When he starts getting pressure, all those welts start coming up. He's Woogie. So, he was watching Woogie at the Commanders practice. Stupid name, by the way. Stupid name. But, he must have started to get nervous, because I get a text, I'm more scared of Washington than the Eagles. And then he starts to go on a diatribe about all the Eagles players we drafted, and every minute I'm getting different players. He's flipping out. He's scared. It's not like he's trolling. He's scared. Okay, the guy is scared because I think he knows that the Eagles, we're the team to beat in the NFC East. He knows it. But it got me fired up. I'm thinking, man, we're on everybody's mind all day long. We got these guys nervous. You know what I'm saying? The only team I don't think we got nervous is the Giants, because I don't think the Giant fans expect much from their own team. They're on the up and up, but, the Giants, they're not really bothering me too much right now, So it is what it is. But, yeah, it got me fired up, And before I get too much into the Eagles, I do want to talk about Roquan Smith, right? Because Roquan Smith, one of the great linebackers in today's game, one of the best linebackers out there. Today, he requested a trade from the Chicago Bears. Now, why do I talk about this? Because I think it's interesting that you have all these players on all these different teams. Everybody's requesting a trade. It's like every week somebody new is requesting a trade. And he's a pretty good damn player to be requesting a trade. Also, there's two other reasons why. One, I got a crap load of DMs asking me to talk about Roquan Smith asking for a trade, and does it affect the Eagles in any way? It doesn't really affect the Eagles in any way, okay? The only way I think it could is if, let's say, the Bears were to trade him and they got some assets. Now they want to use some of those assets. Maybe they trade for Jalen Reagor. I think something like that would work. Now, would the Eagles trade for Roquan Smith? No, probably not. They're pretty set at linebacker. Although, if they did, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain about that at all. Why would I? I'd have to be crazy, right? I'd have to be crazy to do that. But Roquan Smith asking for a trade, in my opinion, is just fascinating because we're getting just so many players now. They just put it in writing. They just let the team know we want to trade. And it's coming out. And I don't think these teams are going to want to keep dealing with it. I think it's going to get to the point, and I think it's already kind of there, where if a player is going to want to not be there, the team's not going to keep him there. They're paying these guys too much money to keep somebody that doesn't want to be there, okay? What I did read in terms of where he could go, now, I got to say that where he could go is probably not going to happen. Bears said that they're not going to trade him, but who knows, right? But here, I did read this. It said, if the Bears were to make Pro Bowl linebacker Roquan Smith available, the pound Cowboys, pound Broncos, and Patriots would be heavily interested. As of right now, the pound Bears have no intentions of moving Smith and will try to get a new deal done. So they're going to try to get a new deal done. We'll see how that goes. Now you have this whole thing where it's like, they're calling it like in camp, right? And in camp is basically where the player shows up for camp and he doesn't partake in the practices or the drills. He's there so he doesn't get fined, but he ain't doing anything. I think they said Roquan Smith has missed like 13 practices so far. So it's pretty interesting. Now, as far as like, of course, if the Eagles were somehow able to get him, I would be like, oh my gosh. And just out of curiosity, Eagle fans out there, and Dallas fans for that matter, for your team, what would you give up for a guy like that? What would you be willing to give up? Because you'd have to give up a lot, right? Would you be, as an Eagle fan, would you be willing to take Reagor, a draft pick, and then throw in like a Nakobe Dean to the Bears for him? Would you be willing to do something like that, or is it important to pair them? Now, like I said, it's not going to happen. I don't expect it to happen, but I just curious what people would think they could get for him. The likely trade with the Bears is Jalen Reagor, right? We talked about this a little earlier. Jalen Reagor is on the Bears' radar. And why not? N'Keal Harry just got hurt. He's going to be out for a while. They have Justin Fields. He needs weapons. And Reagor may need a change of scenery. I would definitely be open to that if I was the Eagles. There's no question about it. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. The question is, for me, is what are you going to get for him, okay? Because I at this point, I don't want a 6th or 7th round pick. I joke around about like a 2098 6th or 7th round pick, but I really don't want that. I want something more. I want like mid-round picks. And I think that for the Eagles, I think the best course of action for Reagor is to go out and basically let him play at least a few weeks of preseason, maybe even during early in the regular season, and build up his trade value. Then, if you need to move him, you move him. If you don't need to move him, you don't move him. That's kind of how I would do it, okay? Another team that is popping up, and I briefly discussed this earlier as well, is the Denver Broncos. It's reported by Matt Lombardi, remember him, that the Denver Broncos, who were banged up wide receiver-wise, are interested in Jalen Reagor. And it would make a lot of sense, especially with them having Russell Wilson. They're on the clock. You get Russell Wilson, his age, you're on the clock. You need a receiver, you better go out and get a wide receiver. Jalen Reagor could be a very, very cheap option. Now, Lombardi was talking about Denver would only have to give up a 6th or a 7th round pick for him. I still want more. But maybe that's all you can get. I don't know. It's interesting. If it was me at this point, from everything we've heard about Reagor during training camp, if my only option is a 6th or 7th round pick, I'm keeping him. Okay, but that's what Lombardi was saying, that Denver would get a 6th or 7th round pick for him. I'm not sure, dude. I'm not sure I like that at all. Another possible trade scenario involving a Philadelphia Eagle is Andre Dillard. There are reports that the New York Jets could pursue him. They just lost Mekhi Becton. Big, huge loss for the New York Jets, and it's possible. It says, breaking, the Pound Jets, not hashtag Pound, have interest in Pound Eagles tackle Andre Dillard, who was drafted while Pound Jets GM Joe Douglas was in Philadelphia, per source. I think this would make a lot of sense for the New York Jets. I definitely have to say that. I think it would make a lot of sense for the Jets. Because, listen, Andre Dillard comes in and he starts right away. There's no question about it. It would be a great move for him. what would the Eagles get? See, I have to get a second-round pick. I cannot trade Andre Dillard for anything less than a second-round pick because wherever he goes, they can plug and play him at left tackle right now. So I have to get something for him. That would be the only way I could do it. And truthfully, the three guys that seem like they're talked about the most regarding trades would be Reagor 1, Dillard 2, and then Gardner, Stinkshoe, Minshew number 3. And then I would say honorable mention Miles Sanders, honorable mention Isaac Seumalo. But those three, Dillard, Reagor, and Minshew seem like the ones that the Eagles, are talked about the most in trading. Problem that I see is if you look at Minshew, if you look at Dillard and Reagor, none of them really going to give you anything you want. What can you get for Reagor? That's a problem. What can you get for Minshew? I think that's a problem. The way Minshew's camp has been going, I don't think you can get a third-round pick for him. I don't. Now, maybe he goes out preseason, plays well, then great. Andre Dillard, I think you could get the most for him. And like I said, I would hold out for a second. I don't want to let these guys go for nothing, but I also don't want to lose them for nothing, So it's a tough dilemma. The Eagles have to get enough if they trade any of these guys. Otherwise, you build up their trade value, get closer to the deadline, then you pull the trigger. Now, one of the things I want to kind of start doing a little bit here and there is when I see a comment in the comment section, somebody posts something that I want to answer or talk a little bit about on a video, I'm going to start doing that. Just because sometimes I can't answer the way I would like to in the chat, in the comment section. It's just hard. There's so many messages, it's hard to keep up. But Not Your Buddy guy, shout out to you, man. I love Buddy Ryan, if that's what we're talking about. He posted this on my last video, and this is similar to what we're talking about right now. He says, this is what he says. He says, if we're contenders, why would we trade Reagor or Dillard? Injuries happen. If Mulata goes down, we need Dillard. If we lose a starting receiver, we need Reagor. I think it's a great comment. It's a great question, right? And here's what I'll say. I see what he's saying, and this goes back to what we were just talking about. I see what he's saying about, you're not going to get a lot for these guys. Why get rid of them if you could have injuries and you may need them? And my answer is this. The Eagles are not a team that just built themselves for 1 year. Okay, this is not like, hey, this is an all-in situation. Let's go all in and try to win this year. The Eagles are building something long-term. It just so happens that part of that, building long-term is it's bleeding into this year where we have an absolute chance to do some damage. But being a contender is more about the next 4 or 5 years than just 1 year. So when you think of it like that, and you think of Reagor in the long term, you think of Dillard in the long term, these guys are all gone at the end of the year. So if you need a position like, let's say, a safety, or a position like a tight end number 2, somewhere where you're not deep enough and you could get a player, fine, great. If you want to get a draft pick because you want to continue to build that roster because it's not all about this year, it's about 4 or 5 years, you do it. A guy like Reagor, right? Let's say he's the 5th receiver or 6th receiver on the depth chart. A lot of times these front offices don't want to deal with it because they're paying him more money than everybody else. So they'll do 2 things. They'll get rid of the guy, try to trade him, or they play him higher on the depth chart than he deserves to be, and it hurts the team. So I think with you building a team long-term, and that's what the goal is here, and Dillard, who walks after the season, if you could get something significant for them, I think you take the chance. But if this was just all about this year and then we got to break up the team, I would totally agree with you. But shout out to Not Your Buddy guy. I thought that was a great question. I'm going to try to do some more of these during the week whenever I see one that sticks out. So make sure if you have a question, put it in the comment section. You never know when we'll read it. But great question, no doubt about it. Eagles, they've got trade options of guys that they could trade for. They got guys that they could trade away. This team is sitting pretty right now. It's sitting pretty. And I think the Reagor Trade talks are going to heat up. Dillard maybe as well. And if I had to guess, I would say Reagor's probably the next to go. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. It's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. Man, I don't know. I don't know how people can use OBS. Like, I know it's good and it does a lot of stuff, but how do you use it? It never works for me. I spent 3 hours trying to figure out how to use this thing because I want to do certain things for other things. You know what I mean? It's like 3 hours I'm doing this thing and I can't figure it out. Where can I learn how to use OBS? I'm not good with computers. I'm not good with technology. That's just the truth, you know? It's so frustrating. So frustrating. Oh yeah, by the way, happy birthday to Jerry Jones today. He turned 116 years old. Happy birthday, you old man. Denzel Washington, out.